Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmed FAUZIZAFRY bin KHALID, my metric number 2221141. And we are from Group 2, Probability and Statistics from lecturer Dr. WANI. And for our group, my another member is Imran HAKIM, we have ASHRAF FAQIHI and Khan. And so on, we will explain and present our research about the monthly allowance and expenses among university students. Alright, so for the next slide, we go. So what we will discuss here, we have the introduction of our research, the problem statement that we get, the research question, research hypothesis, that we also get methods of our findings, preliminary analysis, final analysis of our data, and the conclusion of our research. So moving on, right, so that's the introduction. And for the nowadays, about our project, nowadays young students go through significant changes during their time in college, especially among the youth that is 20 years old upwards. And they become independent and must responsible with their own finances. That always their mom give money to them, and they must become responsible with their own finance. And it is crucial for the student also to manage their finance, to like navigating their monthly expenses regularly. And it is very important for them to also spend their money wisely for good things. Right. So the problem statement that we have here research, and as a university student, they face significant challenges in managing their monthly finances. They don't know how to save in, they don't know how to invest or whatever, or how to use their money, and also because of rising living costs and a lack of prior financial management knowledge, cause these challenges. And how students allocate their monthly allowance to expenses. They must allocate their monthly allowance such as rent, food, transportation, school supplies, and social activities that they must think about it. They must always spend their money wisely to them and not be too greedy to another thing that uh, is useless or that is bad. Right. So for our research question that we get, so firstly we ask about how much allowance student get monthly. We will know about the data of their get the allowance they get monthly, although from beasiswa or for scholarship or from their parents. And second, where are the allowance used in daily routines? Where do allowance go to the higher? Do you think voting is important as anything? And so on. And also we ask about the join a society because they also they spend their money to their society. Alright, so moving on to the next slide.
I'll be presenting to you about the research hypothesis. So for the research hypothesis, there are three hypotheses from our research. So the first one is monthly allowances will impact users of money in daily routines. And the second one is daily expenses could go to the same place but in different amounts. And the third is participating in societies will affect monthly allowances. So next for the method, we will conduct an online survey via Google Forms and gathered 72 responses through WhatsApp and Telegram. The statistical methods is mean, median, mode, Chebyshev theorem, standard deviation, Google form, and variance.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Imran Hakim bin Zaini, metric number 2311057, and today I will present about preliminary analysis for our project. And for the first analysis that we made is the total monthly allowance for the IIM students. On this page, we have all the data set and the bar graph for the analysis. And for the next page, we have the calculations that we made for the analysis, which is mean, median, and mode. For the mean, we got 618 ringgit 48 cents. for the average of the monthly allowance of students in IIUM. And the median, we got 539 ringgit 64 cents, which falls to the class range from 401 ringgit to 600 ringgit. And for the second analysis that we made is for students' expenses and where they spend it. So for the highest expenses that the students made is for food, and the second one is for shopping, third one is for entertainment, and lastly for the transportation, sport and education. So here the calculation that we made for the dataset. We calculate the mode, the median only. So for the third analysis, we got students' highest expenses monthly. So the average here is 297 ringgit 56 cents, and the median for the dataset is 267 ringgit 70 cents, which falls to the 201 ringgit to 300 ringgit class range. And we also calculate for the variance and standard deviation to check the Chebyshev theorem. So the data shows that the 75% of the data lies within two standard deviations from the mean, which is from point 493.42 and 101.7. For next, we got the analysis for spends for daily foods. So here is the calculations. So for the average of the expenses for daily foods that the students in IIUM is 40 ringgit 13 cents for daily, and the median for it is 30 ringgit 60 cents, which falls to the class between 11 ringgit to 50 ringgit. And we also calculate for the variance and standard deviation to check the Chebyshev theorem. So 75% of the data lies within the two standard deviations from the mean, which is from point 29.29 to negative 1.03. And for the next analysis that we made is for the expenses that the students met based on the highest spend, which is in this part is entertainment. So the average of the expenses that student made for the entertainment is 250 ringgit 50 cents, and the mode for this dataset is 250 cents, which falls to the class. I'm sorry, for the median for the median of the dataset for this analysis is 250 ringgit 50 cents, which falls to the class of 201 to 300 ringgit. So we calculate the variance and the standard deviations to check the Chebyshev's theorem. So 75% of the data lies within the 2 point, which is 430 ringgit 80 cents and 87 ringgit 20 cents. So for the next analysis is for the expenses that for the students on highest spend on food. So here is the calculations. The average of the students spend on food is 250 ringgit 50 cents, and the median for this data set is 236 ringgit 86 cents, which falls to the class 201 to 300 ringgit. And we calculate the variance and the standard deviations to check the Chebyshev's theorem, which is 75% of the data lies within the two standard deviations point, which is 539 ringgit 86 cents and negative 38 ringgit 56 cents, which we can neglect the negative 38 ringgit 50 cents because because we cannot go to the negative value. So for the 7, we have analysis for spending expenses based on the student cycle spent on shopping. So for the calculations, we got an average of the students that spent on the shopping is 314 ringgit 79 cents, and the median for the data set is 370 ringgit 17 cents, which falls to the 301 ringgit and 400 ringgit class range. We calculate the variance and the standard deviations to check the Chebyshev's theorem. So 75% of the data lies within the two standard deviations point. So the first point is 531 ringgit 15 cents and 98 ringgit 43 cents. And for the second last of the analysis is to know the relation between joining society and the monthly allowance for the students that join societies here. So here is the calculations. So the average allowance for the students that join the society is 586 ringgit 40 cents, and we calculate the variance and the standard deviations to check the Chebyshev's theorem. So based on the calculations, there are 75% of the data lies within the two standard deviations form, which is 1,275 ringgit to negative 102 20 cents. So we can neglect the 102 and 20 cents because we cannot go to the negative value. So for the last analysis, we have analysis for relation between joining society and monthly allowance, but this one is for the one that did not join any societies. So here is the calculations. So an average of the monthly allowance for the students that did not join any societies is 656 ringgit 62 cents, and the median for it is 555 ringgit 4 cents, which falls to the class between 401 ringgit to 600 ringgit. And we calculate the variance and the standard deviations to check the Chebyshev's theorem. So 75% of the data lies within the two standard deviations point, which is 2,240 ringgit 38 cents and negative 927 ringgit 14 cents, which we can neglect the negative value because we cannot go to the negative value.
Now I will presenting about the final analysis. So the final analysis is answering our research hypothesis. So to answer our first question, our first hypothesis is monthly allowances will impact users of money in daily routines. The majority of the students votes for 400 to 600 ringgit for their allowance monthly. People that get allowance in the range or higher than the majority tends to also spend their money in other things such as shopping, entertainment, sport and education too. So for the second hypothesis, daily expenses could go the same places but in different amounts. Okay, so to get the answers for this hypothesis, we asked about their daily spend on their food. The average of their spend on their daily food is 14 ringgit and 13 cents. That means 420 ringgit and 90 cents monthly. This shows that for those with majority allowance, spend almost all of their allowance on their food. There are about 40.28% votes for about 11 ringgit to 15 ringgit for daily foods, and 35% vote for below 10 ringgit for daily food, and about 34.7% others vote for above 15 ringgit for daily foods. From this question, we found that even though all of them spends their money in their foods, but there are various kinds of amounts for the food. And lastly, for our last hypothesis is participating in societies will affect monthly allowances. We found that the average monthly allowance for students that join societies is about 586 ringgits and 40 cents. The average monthly allowance of the students that did not join any societies more than the students that did join, which is 656 ringgits and 62 cents. The monthly allowance of students that join a society is mostly in the class of range between 401 ringgits and 600 ringgit. The median for the dataset is 525 ringgits and 50 cents, which are around 30.77% of students that join the society. The Chebyshev theorem shows us that most 75% student has a monthly allowance less than or equal to 1,257 ringgit. This shows us that most of the students that joined the society did not have more allowance than the students that did not join any society.